Alright, what's up, folks? Rich Van Tassel with you. Today is Wednesday, November 23rd, 2016. We're giving you a preview of tomorrow's Thanksgiving Day games. Starting first with the Minnesota Vikings at 6-4. They're traveling to Detroit to play the Lions, who are 6-4. Minnesota 2-3 on the road. Detroit is 4-1 at home. Minnesota ended their four-game losing streak last week. The injuries for the visiting Vikings: Terrence Newman, cornerback, doubtful. Sharif Floyd, defensive tackle, is out. The rest questionables: Eric Kendricks, linebacker; Captain Munderland, cornerback; Stephon Diggs, wide receiver for the Detroit Lions; Kyrie Thornton, defensive tackle; DeAndre Levy, running back; Theo Riddick, or DeAndre Levy, linebacker; Theo Riddick, running back, are questionable. Amir Abdullah, running back, is on injury reserve, and Brandon Pettigrew, the tight end, is out. Now you look at this game. This is the second time these teams are playing in 3 weeks now. Both teams 1-2 in the division. Detroit won the previous matchup against Minnesota on the road. Now you look, Green Bay at 4-6 is really falling off. However, Green Bay is 2-1 in the division, which gives them a shot regardless of who wins this game. But that's another story for another day. As far as this one, Detroit and Minnesota are both 1-2 at home. So while Detroit can win this game and have the two victories over Minnesota, which would give them the tiebreaker over the Vikings, if Minnesota is able to win this game, they'll be 2-2 in the division to Detroit's 1-3. So Minnesota will have the tiebreaker in that regard. Of course, still with division games left to play, but certainly they'll have the leg up in that portion. If Detroit wins, they'll have the tiebreaker no matter what. Detroit can still regain the tiebreaker but be against the 8 ball. One down with 2 to play in the division means that Minnesota will be looking good. As far as the game, Sam Bradford has minimized his turnovers, as has Matt Stafford. That's one of the things to look for. Minnesota's running game, I thought they got it going a little bit last week, but Jerick McKinnon has just not been that good of a replacement. However, Detroit's running game is not much better. Theo Riddick is the top rusher, but with Sharif Floyd being out, I look for the Lions to try to establish that. Stephon Diggs and Marvin Jones, the top receivers for both teams, both having good years. I think it's Detroit's defense that's really been solid this year. Now, remember, last week, both of these teams had special teams touchdowns. One was a punt return by Detroit. The other was a kick return by Minnesota. So one of any of those plays would be critical, as they are in any game. But I wouldn't expect to see it 2 weeks in a row by either one of these teams. Usually those things don't come that often. So as far as who's going to win this game, I'm liking what Detroit's doing. I really like Jim Caldwell since he's got there. I think the most impressive thing Caldwell has done was after they got off to the 1-7 start last year, he's really, got them focused. They finished the season 6-2. Didn't make the playoffs, obviously, but they've come out with something to prove this year. Remember, they were 11-5 the year before and were a very good team that went to the playoffs. So I'm picking Detroit to win the game. I like it to be 30-20. I don't think that Minnesota is going to find the offense. I think Detroit's offense has been good, and they usually play well on Thanksgiving. And I think Detroit comes away with this and really establishes themselves in that division and gets themselves a nice, they'll be one game up and hold the tiebreaker with 5 left. So Detroit comes away with a big victory, but that is a huge game for both teams in this one. Next, the Washington Redskins, 6-3-1, 2-1-1 on the road, travel to Dallas to play the Cowboys, who are 9-1, winners of 9 straight games. Washington, of course, since the 0-2 start, is 6-1-1, so two teams that are playing very well. Injuries for the visiting Washington Redskins: Ty Nishke, offensive tackle; Deshaun Jackson, wide receiver; Chris Baker, defensive end, are questionable. Nick Sundberg, the long snapper, is out. Remember, we discussed Nick Sundberg being out last time. That's not something to overlook, especially with what we've seen with extra points thus far this season, or just anything in that regard. It could lead to a disastrous play. For the Cowboys, James Hander, the tight end, is out. The rest are questionables: Tyron Smith, offensive tackle; Terrell McClain, defensive tackle; Des Bryant, wide receiver; Chaz Green, offensive tackle. He's the swing tackle. Key matchup in this game for the second straight time on Thanksgiving will be Des Bryant against Josh Norman. Bryant's really been coming along since that injury. I feel that the more time he's had now with Dak Prescott to be able to work, they're starting to develop their chemistry, and they're really coming along. Kirk Cousins, on the other hand, is playing very well. He does have 7 interceptions. That's not brutally high. It's just compared to Dak Prescott, who only has 2 interceptions. It's on the higher end, but still nothing that jumps off the page at you and says, oh, shocking, but still a little on the high end, the 7 interceptions, but he's well over 3,000 yards. That offense is really clicking. He's finding the Jordan Reeds, he's finding the Deshaun Jacksons, the Jamison Crowders, the Pierre Garçons downfield, and with the Cowboys' compromised secondary, no Morris Claiborne, and it looks like Barry Church will not be playing again either. They've relied heavily on the rookie Anthony Brown, so that is something the Cowboys are going to have to work on. Byron Jones is going to have to be on his A game for them, cleaning things up in the secondary, as well as Brandon Carr being a veteran with the injuries that we just talked about. Washington's run defense has not been good. Of course, Ezekiel Elliott is playing very well this year, just a little under 5 yards per carry, which is certainly very impressive, especially at this stage in the season, to 9 touchdowns. He is a rookie. You wonder if he's going to wear down at some point. But at this point, they haven't done anything that you don't do on the college level as far as games played. Granted, it's not the amount of hits you would get in the college game and the type of speed and the velocity on the hits, I guess we'd say. But certainly, there's no more games that he's played that he wouldn't have played in college, so don't look for it in that one. This is a difficult one. Obviously, I'm a Cowboys fan. I'm picking the Cowboys to win. I will just say that up front right now. I can collect the hate as it comes. Washington is playing very well, though, and the Cowboys are going to have to do something on the secondary. I think the Cowboys, who have not had to take away in the past 2 weeks, will find them in this game, and they'll limit the turnovers as they've done all season. They'll win the turnover differential, and that'll be the difference in this one. I like the Cowboys 24-21 over the Washington Redskins. And then the Thanksgiving night game. Those are the two traditional ones we just did. The night game, which has been new of these last few years. The Pittsburgh Steelers at 5-5, 2-3 on the road, travel to Indianapolis 5-5, 3-2 at home. Injuries for the visiting Pittsburgh Steelers: Cameron Hayward, defensive end, is on injury reserve. The rest are out. D'Angelo Williams, running back. Xavier Grimble, tight end. Darius Hayward Bay, wide receiver. Shamargo Thomas, the safety for the Colts. Frank Williams, cornerback. Andrew Luck, quarterback. Clayton Gathers, safety, are out. So that Luck injury, we immediately notice that. Vontae Davis, the cornerback, and Dante Moncrief, the wide receiver, are questionable. So, with Luck being out, the Indianapolis Colts will, of course, be turning to, once it comes up, taking forever, Scott Tolzien will look to be the starter in this one. I didn't even know that. I know they didn't have Matt Hasselbeck anymore, so I had to look that up. So let's see what Scott Tolzien has in store. That's going to be the key to this game, obviously. I don't see Indianapolis winning with an Andrew Luck. Pittsburgh still has a lot of things they need to correct, but certainly playing against a quarterback who's, I don't even know how many games Scott Tolzien has played in his career, to be honest. I know he spent some time with the Packers, but not having an experienced quarterback in there to go against the Steelers may be able to fix some of their defensive woes, or at the bare minimum not have to worry about their defensive woes with a backup quarterback in the game. They'll be able to get pressure on that Indianapolis offensive line, which has struggled all season long. So you're putting a quarterback who has not played much in his career into a buzzsaw against a team with a poor offensive line. And Pittsburgh, say what you want about their defense, they can still get pressure on the quarterback. They have guys like Artie Burns in the secondary who can also pick off some mistakes as well. Pittsburgh, no D'Angelo Williams, but they're relying heavily on Le'Veon Bell. I expect a heavy dose of Bell again in this game. That's going to be their key to their offense. I think Pittsburgh's found something there. Remember, as tough as the loss was to the Cowboys, their offense was playing very well. They were able to get the win last week, as we said when we did the recap of the games. Now they have 6 left. They're 500, but they're tied for first place in the division. So everything's in front of the Pittsburgh Steelers right now. Of course, they did suffer the loss to the Baltimore Ravens, but they have a chance to make up for that. They have 6 games left. I expect them to be rolling. It's nice that they have a team like Indianapolis coming in with the injuries to their quarterback, and look for Antonio Brown to have a big day as well. We discussed at length the two weaknesses of the Colts, the offensive line and their secondary, and Vontae Davis being questionable. And if he's possibly not able to go, will be a problem. But any injury, and I don't even think Vontae Davis, healthy, is capable of really shutting down in Antonio Brown. I expect Pittsburgh to get some serious points in this game. I expect Indianapolis to put up a few points, but not as many. But the Pittsburgh Steelers comes away with the victory. As my uncle would say, DD for Detroit and Dallas, and I guess this one will go DD and P with the Pittsburgh Steelers and the over. I guess Dallas would probably be the only under game. I haven't checked the over-unders, but I would expect the over in this game. I like 35-24 Pittsburgh over the Indianapolis Colts in this one. All right, so be sure to stay tuned. Either Friday or Saturday, we will give you the continuing game picks for the rest of this week. It's now week 12 of the NFL season. We're getting late in there, so be sure to stay tuned for that. Remember, we appreciate all subscriptions, and everyone have a very happy Thanksgiving tomorrow. We'll see you later on this weekend. Thank you.